All right, guys, Nancy Pelosi is rolling out her greatest hits. How many times in the past has she said this? So this is in Mediaite. Nancy Pelosi criticized by left for committing the grievous sin of wanting a, quote, strong Republican Party. So, I don't know. I guess this person, Zachary Lehman, is on the right, and she thinks what Pelosi said is super reasonable. Let's listen to what she says, and then I'm going to walk you through it, because the way most people are interpreting this is actually wrong. And actually what she's saying, at face value, it's kind of silly and bad, but it's actually even more nefarious than you think. And so I'll explain why that is, but let's watch.
I mean, the fossil fuel industry, they weigh in so significantly.
What was that? Did she have like some sort of glitch? Or was she trying to say like that slapping her pocket like they pay off the Republicans? I don't know. Let's watch that again.
I mean, the fossil fuel industry, they weigh in so significantly. I mean, how could it be that nobody on the Senate side cares, and the Senate cares about climate? Some of them do, and they talk about it.
They don't. They don't care. If you're talking about the Republicans, literally none of them care about it because they're paid off by big oil. Now, it's a little bit of a chicken or the egg scenario. Do they have the ideology that, so do they think climate change is fake anyway, and then that leads them to take the money and then they do the bidding of the oil industry? Or is it like, hey, I'm agnostic on it, but now that you paid me to say climate change is fake, now I'm going to say climate change is fake? Either way, they're wrong, so it doesn't matter. But it's funny hearing Nancy make that criticism about how much, big oil money is in politics, because the Democrats do the same shit with Wall Street, the military-industrial complex, the for-profit health insurance companies. Like, yeah, money impacts politicians, but it impacts them on the right and it impacts them on the left. And she acts like, her shit doesn't stink, and that on the Democratic side, no, we're honorable. But that's obviously not true. Now, on the right, there's different industries, though, sometimes. In some instances, they share money from various industries, like Wall Street, like military-industrial complex. But there are some industries where all the money goes to one side or the other side. So, for example, on the Republican side of the aisle, it's, the gun lobby. They really primarily pay Republicans. Maybe there's a handful of Democrats, but it's mostly Republicans. Big oil, again, primarily pay Democrats or Republicans. There's a handful of Democrats like Manchin. And then on the Democratic side, like teachers' unions, for example, that only comes, the teachers' union money only goes to Democrats, or environmental group money only goes to Democrats. So there are differences, but it's really around the margins. But the way the system works for both is the same. They get paid by these lobbyists and these industries, and then they sort of do their bidding.
When it comes to the votes, it just isn't there. They just aren't there. So rather than saying, well, we have to defeat them, no, let's just try to persuade them. I want the Republican Party to take back the party.
Okay, wait. You just brought up at the beginning the big oil money and how that impacts the politicians so they don't do the right thing on the climate. But now you say, well, we just need to persuade them. But if the thing you said that's happening is happening, then ain't no amount of persuasion going to work. So which is it? Now understand something, guys. Here we have to make a distinction between the politicians and the people. I'm definitely of the belief that average Joe and Jane Republican voters and independent voters and just regular people, they do need to be persuaded. Now, maybe some of them have, been so brainwashed that they're never going to change their mind, but that percentage is relatively small in the grand scheme of things. So you do have to try to convince and persuade average Joe and Jane Republicans and independents about, hey, the climate is changing, we need to do X, Y, and Z in order to fix it. That is our job, to communicate and try to change minds on that. But for the politicians, that's a fool's errand. They're honestly just corrupt, and they're going where the money tells them to go. So for her to say we just need to persuade them, that's a recipe for permanent failure. But maybe she knows that. Maybe she understands that, and maybe she doesn't care. This gets worse, by the way.
Get back to where you were, where you cared about a woman's right to choose, you cared about the environment, and all.
When did elected Republicans care about a woman's right to choose and care about the environment? When was the last time that Republicans and Democrats worked together on something for the environment? Maybe acid rain in like the 1990s, and that was it? But a woman's right to choose, the evangelical Christian base has married the Republican base, and they are one and the same, and that was the case ever since, what, the 1960s, 1970s. So what are you talking about? Like, the glorious days when Republicans were pro-life. Again, elected Republicans are not pro-choice. They are pro-life. The actual Republican base, they're split, and there are many who are pro-choice, according to the polls, and there are many who are pro-life. So again, you have to make a distinction. Yes, regular people are convincible and persuadable. Politicians are not. The Republican politicians are not. They are too far gone. They are a lost cause, and they are deeply corrupt, and these aren't even honest ideological disagreements that we're having. And she keeps saying, I need them to take the party back. I need them to be a big, strong Republican party. She says that now. Getting applause for it.
Hey, here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do. Not a cult, but a strong Republican Party.
Okay. So, people are pointing out how, this is absurd, because imagine a Republican saying that about the Democratic Party. Like, yeah, we need a big, strong, robust Democratic Party. Somebody on an elected Republican politician would literally never say that. They view their objective as like, we're going to crush you, and we're going to win, because we disagree, and we think we're right, and you're wrong. That's how they view it. On the Democratic side, it's like, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and I want you to be a big, strong, successful party. So, like, you're begging to get rolled. You're begging to lose. So that's the point that most people are making, and there is a grain of truth in that. However, I think Ryan Grimm actually pointed out what's really going on here. And it's not what people think. What's really going on here is Nancy Pelosi is saying to Republican politicians, hey guys, why is it that us here in Democratic leadership, on the corporate Democratic side, why is it we can snuff out our base, ignore our base, disrespect our base, spit in their eye, maintain control of the party while never doing what our base wants, but you guys can't do that on your side? You guys are slaves to the passions of your base. Wherever they go, you follow. They're going all in on, oh my God, Trump won the election and it was stolen by Joe Biden. And then all these idiots are following them down that path. They're all in on hardcore, where pro-life, anti-choice, and then you guys follow them right down that path, even though I'm sure many of the elected Republican politicians, their private beliefs are different than their public beliefs, right? What she's saying is, we can control our base and ignore our base and steer the direction of the party. We are a big, strong Democratic Party in that sense. We are elitist. We are separated from the masses, the unwashed masses. You guys are driven by the unwashed masses. So when she says we need a big, strong Republican Party, she means she wants an elitist Republican Party that can snub the passions of their base and can work with Democrats together on the things that the Democrats want to work with them on. Now, by the way, what are those things? Well, it would be some sort of moderate social policy, as she's alluding to here, so not being super pro-life. But really, on the economic side and the foreign policy side, it's what? Endless war profiteering, endless deregulation of financial institutions, more tax cuts for the rich, more tax cuts for corporations. This is what Nancy Pelosi is saying. She's saying, we can control our base. We're a big, strong Democratic Party. You guys can't control your base. Get your act together. So she's basically asking them to be more elitist. Incredible. Incredible. It really goes to show you what the thought process is in her ivory tower. She has an approval rating of what? About 20%? And she's up there basically giving this Machiavellian speech. Talk about, this is how you maintain power, this is how you maintain control, this is how you steer the direction of everything. And it's like, we don't like you, we don't want you in a leadership position, and you've driven the Democratic Party into a ditch, and you've helped drive the country into a ditch. So whatever lesson you give, just whatever the opposite is of what Nancy Pelosi is saying is what should happen, and what should be done. So, there you have it, man. That's what she's really saying. And I only saw Ryan Grimm make that point, but I had that light bulb moment as soon as I read his take on it. And he's right. He's right. It's hard to think of anything and anybody more pathetic than Democratic leadership. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.